Hey, what's up? This is my first time doing a long form voiceover kind of thing, so bear with me for this. I was thinking of ideas for the next Warframe video I wanted to make, and I kind of just settled on hopping on the torture rack. That is the inside bundle challenges you can get from Roth. It's basically a chest attachment that has 19 challenges to go with it, and each challenge you complete evolves the chest attachment further. Most of these challenges are honestly not that hard, but the ones that are hard are, it really just ranges asking you to do something really time consuming to, soloing an elite temporal Archimedia. Oh, and for literally no reason at all, I did every single challenge except one with Chroma only, because why not? Alright, so first thing it's going to ask you to do after purchasing the bundle is just equip an Honoria. Easy enough. Then the next few challenges are just asking you to play the game. Kill 150 enemies with a melee weapon, just load up any survival, and that's easy. Then the next two, you have to do a full run of the Purdia Rebellion, then do a full run of Descendia. I tried loading a Roth checkpoint for Descendia, that does not work. It has to be a full run, and if someone host migrates, it invalidates, so I would make sure you're the host or doing it solo. Me personally, though, I decided to do my Descendia run with my great friend Verb.
Bounce on my mushroom, boy.
Bounce on my mushroom.
Bounce on my mushroom.
Hey, another Honoria done. Anyway, after that, it's time for my favorite activity in the entire game, Exploiter Orb, which is great. Love that. After you're done banging your head against a wall with that, the next challenge is to run 5 Steel Path missions, which you just run captures. Get that done within 5 minutes. And after that, the next challenge is asking you to sustain a 10x melee combo for 45 seconds. Now, as I'm recording this still works, and it's worked for a while, so I don't know if they're ever fixing this. But if you run both dexterity mods on your art gun, you get a pretty ridiculously long combo, and that just makes this challenge a cakewalk. Then after you get done with that, you yet again have to run Purdia Rebellion. This time you have to do at least 5 encounters, but I've really never gone less than 5 doing that before. But as I was getting this done, an interesting bug happened to me. I have no clue how this even works. Alright, now the challenge is getting real, so for the next one, you have to defeat Yanis Captain Vor. And even though I play a ton of Chroma, I never got that accolade glyph because I really do not like the Ultra bosses, because they're just nullify central. But since I had to do it anyway, I took this as an opportunity to finally grab that accolade glyph. My first few runs went pretty terribly. Okay, that's fucking fair. What? What do you do about that? I just... like... And that was mainly because I was caught up trying to stick to this persistence build, which just doesn't work for Ultra bosses anymore. Kind of missed my window to use that when they added the Nullify nerf to it. And then I realized I didn't really have a good weapon for the second phase, so I had to build up my dual Toxicist, because prior to this I never had it, and I ended up being lucky that Calavero was selling it for platinum that week. So the build I settled on was the pretty standard build for like all frames doing this, where you want to have a permanent aim glide, because the second phase is horrible trying to actually use the platforms. My strategy for this was really just to use Glaive and Vex Armor to make the first phase as quick as possible, since that absolutely shreds him. But that does not work on the second phase, because it just force resets your Vex Armor. You don't get a choice, it force nullifies, which is great. So for the second phase, just aim glide and Toxicist and whittle him down from there. So if you don't count the 10 or so deaths I got trying to dial in the build, pretty much first tried. Up teleporting, please. Fuck you!
I told you the fucking aviator shit. Getting the DR in midair is fucking goated, but I guess it works best with Toxicist. Those accolade glyphs like are the best looking ones.
Yeah, this Chroma one's sick. Oh my god, that was fucking stressful. For the next 2 ultra bosses, there's nothing actually saying that you have to do them solo, like the accolade challenges, so I brought a friend just to make them go by quicker. Then for the next one, you, yet again, have to do a full Descendia run, this time on Steel Path and without dying. Then you gotta complete a arbitration survival, specifically survival, for 30 minutes. This is honestly the point of the challenge I was stuck on like the longest, because every time I logged in it wasn't survival. For the next one you just gotta do a full Archon hunt without bleeding out, which shouldn't be too bad if you're playing in a squad. And now it's time for an activity I have not run in a while. It's asking you to complete a Netrocell when you carry all 4 of the key glyphs, and you also have to be the host to get the completion, so might want to just do this one solo. After that, you just have to get any Incarnon adapter from the Steel Pass circuit. After only a few attempts at cycling my rotation, I ended up getting Chroma, so did that all in one sitting. Alright, now you have to kill 15 enemies with a single Taron strike. I kind of made the mistake of loading a survival mission that was way too low level, because I was underestimating how much damage the Taron strikes do. So I was like needlessly spending like 3 minutes grouping up enemies to hit this. You'll probably be fine just loading up a slightly higher level survival just to get the higher enemy density. Now, this next one, you gotta do a Technocyte Coda, the fight, without getting hit by a single one of the stage attacks. Now, I totally could just play Chroma and perfectly dodge every single one of those attacks perfectly and not get hit. But I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to play Revenant. But I totally could do that on Chroma. And also, do not make the mistake I did when you're swapping frames for this. Don't forget to re-equip the chest attachment, or it won't track your progress and you'll have to do a whole nother coda again. That was fun. Alright, so we made it to the end, the final challenge. Complete an Elite Tempora Archimedia on your own. And to be honest, I picked a terrible week to do this, going from defense in the Legasite Harvest into assassination, with some of the most cringe modifiers, especially on the assassination mission. A few tips I can give you: the buffs you get from the Holvania calendar, just doing missions on there, that applies to Temporal Archimedia. So one of the buffs I chose was giving me specters when I killed enemies, which was very helpful. Another thing is choosing the right Peely picks. For the assassination, I chose the Thermian RPG off the gear wheel just to save time. The Burger Fest Peely picks for defense, the defense mission, because that heals Temple, and that helps them a lot because they can die really quick. Then I chose Slippery Customer for the Legasite Harvest, just in the chance I went down, I would get a second chance. Also, gotta remember that this challenge is just completing the Elite Archimedia. You don't have to take the modifiers, and you do not have any loadout restrictions. You can use whatever you want. I brought the Latron Prime because I always use that. Always use the Lex Prime too, it's very strong in Carnon. And then I brought the Cronin Prime because I have an absolutely cracked ribbon for that thing to use on an influence build that just annihilates enemies. So in those 3 weapons, I have a good armor strip option that also does good room clear. I have a very high damage single target weapon that also does good clear because it just has infinite punch through. And then I also have an influence weapon just to clear enemies even more. I'm also taking Larkspur as my arc gun with a Venerate because that thing absolutely melts enemies and also helps a lot against Apex tank because the Larkspur's beam will target the weak spots on the tank. And as for my build on Chroma, I'm running the same build I made in my last video with the Persistence and Null Stars, so it's decently survivable as long as I'm not nullified. Now for the defense mission, which is arguably the hardest one, so thankfully it was the first one, you're gonna need specters. You have to stay close to Temple or Flare, because they get damage reduction when there's allies nearby them. I have a Frost Spectre that does Snow Globe, which helps immensely. Have an Ancient Healer Spectre as well, and then any other Spectre you can get to make enemies not shoot at Temple, because when they die, the mission fails, so that sucks. I had to play this really carefully because it was this really annoying, like, enemy density where it wasn't, like, so dense where I'm just carving through enemies, getting my stacks up, getting a ton of energy, but it wasn't, like, so few enemies that they weren't a threat. It was just, like, enough density to make it as hard as possible where I couldn't get any energy, I couldn't stack, but they would one-shot me. Once that was done, though, the Legasite Harvest was a lot easier. Cronin Prime, with the build I was running, that was Hotshot with null stars, so ton of free crit chance, ton of attack speed on Cronin, ton of crit damage because of that ribbon. I was just annihilating those Legasites even though they were spawning too. I had a few close calls because I wasn't paying attention to my Vex Armor timer, and it ticks down while you're capturing the target, and you can't recast while capturing the target. But other than that, that was a pretty easy mission. Now, for the final mission, I was really worried about this one, because I didn't know about how the amount of times you have to shoot the wall with the Thermion RPG scales with players. I just thought it was the same in Tempora Archimedia, and I remember running in a squad you have to shoot it like 30 or 40 times, but thankfully with the solo it was a lot less. But what made this especially awful was the modifiers on this, because there was a modifier that made the enemies move faster, and then there was the modifier that added the limnuses, but both those modifiers worked together, and the limnuses were running around at super speed, draining my energy and doing damage to me. So this whole time I'm trying to get codes, hack the console to get the Thermion RPG drops and shoot the wall. These super speed limnuses are just constantly eating at my energy and almost killing me. The first phase of the tank is pretty uneventful. Just use Latron, strip its armor, shoot all the weak points, shoot it once or twice with the RPG, that's it. And then for the second phase, once again, the limnuses are there causing problems, being very annoying, draining energy, and I'm pretty much like constantly going into operator form to use protective sling to go immune because I don't want to take the risk of dying and restarting again because I don't have the Peely picks here for the second life. And thankfully I was running Larkspur, and as you can see, Larkspur absolutely just shreds this boss. It auto targets the weak points, made it a lot easier. So pretty much this whole time I'm just protective slinging and using Larkspur to kill this thing, and then finally got it done. And now here we are. All that effort, about like a week of playing for a chess piece that probably I'm not personally going to use, and a title that I'm also honestly not probably going to use. So yeah, thanks for watching.